Authoritarian governments often believe that suppressing their people guarantees stability, but history proves otherwise. One of the clearest examples is Nepal's revolution, a struggle that brought down centuries-old monarchy and replaced it with a republic. Today, we explore what every authoritarian government should learn from Nepal's story. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Nepal's monarchy tightened its grip on power. Freedoms were restricted, protests were crushed, and dissent was silenced. But instead of killing the movement, suppression only fueled resistance. And an insurgency spread across the countryside, eventually dragging the entire nation into civil war. The art of Nepal's revolution was not just about political power. It was about inequality. Rural areas were ignored, poverty was widespread, and caste-based discrimination was entrenched. For the poor and the marginalized, the revolution offered hope where the state had failed. When governments ignore the struggles of the marginalized, they unintentionally hand power to revolutionary movements. Inequality left unchecked becomes the fuel of rebellion. In 2006, despite years of crackdowns, millions of Nepalese took to the streets in a wave of protests. The monarchy had the army, the guns, and the palace, but the people had numbers, determination, and unity. The king was forced to surrender power, proving that no matter how strong an authoritarian government may seem, it cannot rule indefinitely against the will of its people. As Nepal's monarchy grew more authoritarian, it lost credibility abroad. Foreign governments and international organizations began pushing for democracy and human rights. Even traditional allies distanced themselves. For authoritarian governments, this is another warning. When you lose legitimacy both at home and abroad, your survival becomes impossible. In the end, Nepal's war did not end through military victory. It ended at the negotiating table. The monarchy could have prevented a decade of bloodshed by choosing reforms and dialogue earlier. Instead, resistance forced it to change. Authoritarian governments should remember that it's always cheaper, safer, and wiser to reform early than to wait until rebellion makes change unavoidable. The Nepal revolution is a warning and a lesson. Authoritarianism creates instability, not security. Governments that silence dissent, deepen inequality, and refuse reforms eventually collapse under the weight of their own arrogance. But those who listen, negotiate, and embrace inclusion can survive, evolve, and even thrive. The truth is simple. The people always win in the end. In the year 2006, Nepal shocked the whole world by ending centuries of monarchy. It shocked the world again, this time with a youth-led digital revolution. So what lesson can we learn from Nepal's two biggest uprisings? Let's break it down. 1. People power. 2006 proved it. When ordinary people unite, even kings must step down. And in 2025, Gen Z showed that the power belonged to the people. Lesson 2. People power is unstoppable. Lesson 3. Digital is the new battleground. The spark in 2025 wasn't a king, but a ban on social media. Youth organized on Discord, hashtags went viral, and censorship turned into revolution. What lesson here? Control the internet and you may lose the streets. Another lesson is that youth demand inclusion. Just like marginalized groups demanded space in 2006, Gen Z today is demanding more than slogans. They want jobs, fairness, and an end to corruption. Takeaway lesson: ignore young people and you invite unrest. Another lesson is that institutions matter. Both revolutions teach us that toppling leaders isn't enough. You need strong institutions like courts, parliaments, constitutions, or the cycle of instability repeats. So, here is the big takeaway. Nepal's revolutions, past and present, remind the world that democracy is never finished. People power, youth energy, digital freedom, and strong institutions are the pillars of stability. And the next chapter, elections in 2026, will decide if Nepal turns this revolution into lasting change. If you found this inspiring, hit like, share with a friend, and subscribe for more global stories that matter. See you in the next one.